Morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Monday, September 29th, 2014. You can follow us on Twitter at CATEX TV. According to some reports, forces controlled by ISIS, the Islamic Caliphate, have reached the suburbs of Baghdad and are being fought off by the Iraqi army, or what's left of it, only with the assistance of Western airstrikes. It's a very confusing situation. It's not quite known exactly what is going on. Oddly enough, what is known is what's going on in communist Chinese-controlled Hong Kong. The financial part of the city has essentially been shut down by tens of thousands of pro-democracy students. This whole wave of incidents began a week ago today when students began to boycott classes in protest against the slate of candidates that Beijing had offered for the elections coming up later this year. Apparently on Sunday evening, there was quite a massive confrontation between police and the thousands of protesters that involved tear gas, as well as numerous arrests. The students had wrapped themselves in cellophane in order to ward off the burns from the tear gas canisters, as well as wearing makeshift gas masks. This was all being beamed around the world. They also ended up occupying upscale shopping areas in Hong Kong. The stock market in Hong Kong opened immediately about 2% lower today. The Chinese, or I should say the Hong Kong premier, is going to great pains to assure the students that the Chinese army will not intervene no matter what, a la Tiananmen Square. Thus far, only the police are involved. However, it clearly is a very, very challenging situation for Beijing, as the students have shown absolutely no sign of withdrawing, and in fact their forces have been bolstered by new additions. So we'll wait and see what happens. Of course, in the daytime here, it's the nighttime there, so this all goes on in the evening on the east coast of the U.S. Here's pretty big news. IBM has announced that it's contributing $100 million in an investment to Nephila Capital's Nephila Iron Catastrophe Fund, insurance-linked securities. Apparently this has been done already. It appeared in the annual report. The IBM pension fund is about $10 billion in size, and they have given $100 million of that as an investment into the insurance-linked security fund run by Nephila. Obviously, this is part of an overall strategy shift to move assets into lower volatility, longer-term diversified asset classes, and to reduce some exposure to higher-risk assets such as equities. It is sort of unbelievable that we're talking about investing in cat funds and insurance-linked securities as being a lower-risk exposure than equities, but that's the state of affairs right now. Air India has renewed its aviation coverage, according to reports. This is in light of the situation in the aviation market over the past 12 months, which have seen 4 aviation disasters, as well as several minor incidents. Rates have been expected to go up dramatically. The initial quote for Air India was apparently 25%. Air India ended up renewing for 15%. Last year they paid $23 million for the reinsurance coverage. This year they paid about $27 million, a little shy of that. This is for how many planes? 132 aircraft. This has to be consummated by October 1st, which is Wednesday, which is when the current policy expires. Most of it's going to be placed in Lloyd's, and according to sources, it will get done on time. 5 more bodies have been found near the summit of that volcano in Japan that erupted on Saturday, Mount Ontake. This has brought now the total of deaths to about 36 people. I'm sure you've seen the pictures on television. It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Japan. The mountain, located about 130 miles west of Tokyo, is a popular hiking location. It's 10,062 feet tall, or I should say high, and as a number of hikers reached the summit, the volcano, the mountain which is a volcano, actually erupted, causing these people to be trapped up there. Late Friday afternoon, the founder of Pimco had announced that he was moving on. Bill Gross left Pimco to go to Janus Capital, which set up a California-based bond fund for him. Pimco is wholly owned by Allianz, and Pimco manages a considerable amount of money for the insurance industry because the investments are typically put into so-called safe bonds. In various unattributed interviews with the Insurance Insider, a number of anonymous sources said that the departure of Gross will not affect the investment strategy of carriers with Pimco because they are used to dealing with their particular client representatives. Allianz reported a 28% year-on-year fall in profits, largely due to outflows from Pimco funds. Turkish media says that a 33-year-old man was seriously injured when a metal rod pierced a car on Istanbul's subway system and impaled him. The rod speared the hips of the 33-year-old man, who was taken to a nearby hospital for surgery. The accident occurred Monday on the subway line operating in downtown Istanbul. Other passengers were safely evacuated. And here's a story that you don't want to see if you're a Bermudan. An unprecedented chase by gunmen that ended with a car crashing into the entrance of the Fairmont Southampton Hotel has brought an appeal for information from the Premier, Michael Dunkley. Shots were fired into the car during Saturday's chase, which police believe began near T Street in Devonshire and ended at about 5:45 with the car, a black BMW, going off the road, crashing into the entrance of the majestic Fairmont Southampton. Police expect to give a further update today. There was a roadblock that closed off an extensive stretch of South Road spanning two parishes, and also the Somerset Cricket Club canceled planned matches for yesterday because of this chase that was going on with gunshots. It was the second firearm incident in Southampton after a 17-year-old was shot and injured a week ago in a nearby area, Riviera Crescent. It's a housing estate where a 29-year-old was gunned down fatally on April 23rd of this year. This is not a good situation in Bermuda, obviously. Gun violence has been increasing there, although it's nowhere near the scale of other Caribbean islands, specifically St. Thomas or, of course, Puerto Rico. But it doesn't help for the international reinsurance industry. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.